It's Christmas in Wolselwood, I no longer live in the hood, so meet me for this bit and let's just talk. Now that is how you make an intro, and it segues beautifully into the fact that my first Hollywood Undead song, Christmas in Hollywood, wasn't even from an album by the band. Go figure. Anyway, Hollywood Undead formed in Los Angeles, California in 2005 as a project on MySpace between friends Joel J. Dog Decker and Aaron Juice Ehrlichman, who released a song titled The Kids, which gained some serious traction for them. Later, Jordan, Charlie St. Terrell, Matthew to Kills Music, formerly St. Clair, Dylan, Funnyman Alvarez, and George Johnny Three Tears Reagan all joined to form the initial lineup of the band, and the rest is murky, muddy history. Also, this is one of those rare episodes where I've actually already heard all their stuff, which is pretty sweet. Anyway, it's Backtracking, and this time it's Hollywood Undead. Let's face the music, but with some really cool masks on this time. So, yeah. We start with the band's debut album and songs. Sorry, I thought that would work as a mess, but it's just a balloon. Released in 2008 through Octane and Polydor, this album was produced by Don Gilmore, Daniel Elner, and Juice himself being the executive producer. Give me a second to put this back. Anyway, I guess now's a good time to mention that Juice is a shortened version of Aaron's former stage name of The Producer, which isn't just a good rap name, but he actually was a legit producer even back in the MySpace days, so there you go, he actually produced the band's stuff. Anyway, whilst this is the band's debut album, it wasn't the first that I listened to all the way through, even though I've listened to all of Hollywood Undead's albums already as of writing this. I'll get to that later, though. So, as people know, Juice, well, he was kind of an asshole. Still is in some regards. This would be his only album with the band before being asked currently to leave due to, not showing up to shows, not showing up to airports to travel, being a control freak, and just being an all-around douche canoe. Having said that, the dude is a damn good producer, but we'll talk more about that later. The album itself is still good, but I do agree with the complaint that critics had in that the balance of songs was weird. We had the more comedic party songs, and then more serious depressing songs, then songs with a more hip-hop beat, then songs with a heavy guitar riff. It is a bit bewildering. Still, it's not a bad thing. Just because the track balance is odd doesn't mean that it's a complete deal-breaker. The right types of sounds fit the right moods for the right songs, and it's a handy bit of structuring. Heck, the band tried to release this in 2007 beforehand on MySpace Records, but MySpace refused unless the band changed some stuff. But they didn't, so they found a new label. Just imagine how different things would have been if the band removed some of the stuff from this one. It probably wouldn't have become the same launching pad that the band needed at the time. The lyrics and structuring do go hand in hand, with the more party-based songs having the right themes such as drinking, sex, and drugs, whilst the more serious songs cover things like love, depression, and suicide. There's even some songs based on the band's overarching theme of celebrity status in California, and how that status corrupts people, and that California isn't the haven that it appears to be. The band themselves all bring that along really well, with verses from J-Dog, Johnny, Charlie, and Funny all on point, with the former two taking on more serious roles and the latter half showcasing the more fun-loving side. Not to mention some solid guitar work from Charlie and Jay and great keyboards too. Killer's drumming provides a steady flow of good beats and grooves, with his own backup screaming, which I wish was utilised more during his time with the band. And Juice's own vocal work is good, with his own verses sounding decent, even with the production covering up his flaws. Standout songs include Know the Place, City, Young, Sell Your Soul, and my favourite in the first of a series of songs called Paradise Lost. With Swan songs, the band show their sense of humour and fun, whilst also maintaining a more sensitive side with a steady balance of themes, even if the track order does feel a bit weird. Still, I can recommend it. It's not completely terrible. I mean, there's one small drawback, that's it. Next is the band's second album, American Tragedy. Released in 2011, the band would switch to the A&R Oxane label, and in terms of producers, Don Gilmore would stick around and be joined by the following. Griffin Boyce, Kevin Rudolph, Jeff Halitrack, Sam Sluggo, and Ben Gross. And that's just the main producers. Now, you may have noticed that Juice's name is among that flock, and I listed the reasons why earlier, so I don't need to go over them again. But with that in mind, Hollywood Undead needed a new, clean lead vocalist. Step up for former American Idol contestant Daniel Morello. Now, much like Juice's vocals, there is a lot of production on Daniel's as well, but most of it is double tracking and it has a surprisingly nice sounding overlay effect. Sure, there is some auto-tune, but that's more for show than to fix any actual problems. Danny is actually a pretty good singer, and he fits the mold of Hollywood Undead pretty well. He actually sounds like he's having more fun than Juice, he has more range as Juice, and he sings a bit more emotionally. And I buy into it a bit better. It would actually be a good indication of where the band's sound would go for the next album, but we'll get to that when we get to it. I will say, in terms of track balance, this one is a bit better, and even has some heavier and more serious material to it when compared to Swan songs. Hell, the production itself is still top-notch, and it helps the structuring massively. with even the party songs having a different vibe to them in terms of beats. There's more usage of keyboards and synths, and it makes everything sound polished and really pretty. One complaint that critics had for this one was the lyrics, and I'll agree that there is the odd repetitive chorus here and there, but in terms of subject matter and storytelling, it's improved dramatically. There are songs about LA life, partying, drugs, suicide, murder, sex, and loss, and not necessarily in that order. Also, yes, this does contain a kind of diss track in Lights Out, which is a reply to Story of Snitch by Deuce, and I've heard both of those songs, and it makes me think that feuding in music is really, really silly. Having said that, all of Juicy's solo debut album was pretty much diss tracks anyway, or at least most songs were. Thankfully, I think that they've all put their differences aside now. Anyway, onto the band themselves. Danny makes good in his first appearance with the band, adding good range and distinctive style, with Charlie, J-Dog, Funny, and Johnny all dropping great verses and having really energetic performances and chemistry with each other on the songs, not to mention the instrumental work rocking as well. And Kill's screams are more pronounced too, even adding a nice gang vocal feel to the heavier tracks at times along with his solid hard-hitting drumming. Standout songs include Been to Hell, Glory, Apologise, Poor Me, and my favourite in the closing song, Tendencies. With a darker tone, great chemistry, and energy to spare, Hollywood Undead put out a solid piece with the first album from them that I have heard from front to back. Thought I'd squeeze that in there whilst I still could. Anyway, yeah, I can recommend this one, it's pretty good. Next is the band's third album, Notes from the Underground. Released in 2013 through A&M Octane again, it's sort of similar in terms of producers, with Griffin, Boyson, Sam, and Sluggo from last time being joined by Danny Lona in a more prominent role. This is also the band's shortest album at 40 minutes and 27 seconds. Also, this was, I think, the first album of 2013 that I listened to, and it was either in my top 10 of the year or just short, so yeah. Notes from the Underground is, well, it's amazing, and for so many reasons, which I'm more than happy to tell you. So the band do experiment a bit more with their sound, with the different tracks sounding more pronounced than ever. This was evident from the first single, Dead Boy, which has an industrial tinge to it. Then when We Are dropped, I was floored by the absolutely epic feel to it. I guess that latter feeling is what the band wanted to capture, and it worked out pretty well. There's also a lot more emotion on display, with many songs showcasing that. Sure, there is still some more laid-back songs and such, but at least they sound more like they're having fun, and they don't really throw off the balance of things, which is nice. In terms of experimenting, the band members get more individual tracks themselves. This was only really tried with Johnny before, but everyone actually kind of gets a say with this one. Funny Man even gets his own solo performance, I accidentally mistyped that, solos, in the bonus song Delish, which is a delightful party song, and you can feel the smile on Funny's face as he's dropping his bars, J-Dog tests out his more metal chops in From the Ground, Charlie gives us a vivid insight into a school shooting and Kill Everyone, and Johnny shows his naturally emotional tones in songs like Lion and Outside. Then there's Danny, who gets some verses of his own, most notably in the songs Pigskin and Belief. It's such an experimental way to structure things, and with the lyrical content, it's balanced beautifully. And goodness me, are the lyrics good. There's more multi-syllable rhymes, which is a huge plus for someone like me who likes complex rhyme schemes like that, even though I'm not a huge rap fan, but it's the tone and emphasis on the right words and syllables that really sells things. Nobody really overtakes anyone, and there's so much balance between the members on all sorts of tracks that doesn't feel forced in any way, and I can really appreciate that. Danny feels more at home in his role now, even having more fun with more roles and verses, and showing more good keyboard work and riffs. The other instrumental work is great too, and J-Dog, Johnny, Charlie, and Funny continue to riff both on their instruments and offer each other with great bars. Kills gets only a couple of screams in, but his drumming still lays a great foundation for things, so yeah. Standard songs include We Are, From the Ground, Believe, Dead Boy, and my favourite Hollywood Undead song overall in the closing track, Outside. On Notes from the Underground, the band show great experimentation without alienation, along with awesome lyrics, great production, fantastic chemistry, and wonderful balance. I really like this one, and I really recommend this one. Next is the band's fourth album, Day of the Dead. Released in 2015, the band changed labels to Interscope, and in terms of producers, Griffin Boy stays on, being joined by Sean Gould, Charlie Scene, and J-Dog. This marks the first time in an album since Swan Songs to have a band member producing, since Juice handled stuff on that one. This album would also be the band's last with the Curls, which is kind of a shame, but what can you do? Anyway, for this one, the band decided to experiment a bit more, aiming for a more rock focus with things. There's even a fun with guitar solo on the song Live Forever. Another testament to the more rock-focused sound is Charlie Scene. On the previous albums, Charlie had clean singing, but it was more pronounced on Notes from the Underground. On Day of the Dead, it's a beautiful driving force, often providing a great deeper tone of voice for Danny's own more distinctive, slightly higher style. It's a balance that actually goes really well. Still, the album isn't without its rap rock that the band provides, and it's once again a good example of experimentation by the band. It's got a more comedic edge to it as well, especially on the more party-based songs. There are some lines that actually made me laugh from time to time, or at least made me smile. In fact, despite its title, Day of the Dead is maybe the band's most light-hearted piece of work. It's not without its serious stuff though, with songs like Dark Places, Save Me, and Does Everybody in the World Have to Die being good examples. In terms of lyrics, it's similar to previous stuff with subjects like LA life, partying, gangs, and suicide. I realise that last subject doesn't go well with what I said earlier about the lightheartedness of the album, but it's basically a mainstay of the band's work at the point, so it would have felt weird to leave it out. In terms of structure, Day of the Dead does show a good rock bass, with riffs carrying the backgrounds for songs well. The more synth-based stuff is reserved for when it's needed, as the same with the guitar work and so on. I gotta give big credit to Charlie and J-Dog, because you all know that I love it when a band produces their own stuff. Sure, it's not as heavy as on Emotion, but it's a more fun album in place, and it's probably the most accessible album by the band. Danny's vocals still sound great, even applying some good high notes from time to time, and the other members provide great lines as well, going back and forth between each other on more songs, as well as their instrumental work sounding great. Standout songs include the title track, Take Me Home, Party by Myself, How We Roll, and my favourite, In Dark Places. Day of the Dead is really easy to get into, and it's just a really fun listen for anyone bolstered by good performances and energy along with a really good production, and I can recommend this one. And finally, we reached the band's fifth album, titled 5. Released in 2017, the band changed labels again, this time to MDD/BMG, and in terms of producers, Sean Gould, Charlie C and J-Dog will return, this time being joined by Christian Dold. This is also the band's longest album at 52 minutes and 2 seconds. Also, there's a reason for the album being titled 5 that makes it seem a lot less lazy. True, the album is their fifth, but the band also has 5 members by this point, with Kills having left. Okay, so it's not like the nerd out I had in the last episode when I talked about Venom by Bullet from a Valentine, but it's still an interesting fact, I think, so I wanted to bring it up. Sue me. Also, this is the band's first studio album to feature a guest star, with Be Real of Prophets of Rage and Cypress Hill fame providing some solid lines for the song Black Cadillac. In terms of sound, it's once again experimental, but with more focus on a rap feel for some of the songs, whereas Day of the Dead had a more rock focus. I like the change, though. Even some of the guitarists played a lute well enough to make it sound like a good hip-hop beat. Having said that, when the first single, California Dreaming, dropped, I was kinda hoping that the band would go heavier, because that song itself is nice and heavy. The killer riff, the hard-hitting vocals from J-Dog, Funny, and Johnny, and the choruses of Charlie and Danny sounding good too. Still, I can't complain. Actually, it's a good indicator of the band taking themselves more seriously, much like Day of the Dead showed them having more fun. It's a good contrast between albums, I think, and it's not a sudden whiplash or anything. There's still fun songs on 5, much like there's still serious songs on Day of the Dead. Good examples of the more fun stuff, 5 would be Cashed Out, Riot, and Black Cadillac too. In terms of structure, it's more rap-focused, but it's not an album without its heavier rock moments. And hell, even with the vocal back and forth, there's more of that. It's a good expansion on how they played with that style on Day of the Dead, and it's taken to some good heights on 5. In terms of lyrics, it is kind of more of the same, but with a focus on more serious and inspiring topics, with more songs about overcoming depression and fighting for yourself. It's a surprisingly good balance, and with all the band members singing on those types of songs, it doesn't feel as forced as one would think. All members perform well with solid instrumental work and some of Charlie's best riffs. Danny's vocals sound great as well, having a good range and timing, but the real story is all of the band members bouncing back and forth more. Kill's departure may have been a blessing in disguise, which is weird to say because he left on good terms with the band. Standout songs include California Dreaming, Black Cadillac, Broken Record, We Own the Night, and my favourite and the closing song, Your Life. The band's reputation for great production and experimentation precedes them, and it shows the band's balance and dedication to their craft in a great way, and I can safely recommend this one. So, let's round them up. Most favourite is possibly Notes from the Underground. There's just something about the epic scale and emotion about it that I really like. Also has some damn good rapping and lyrics and brilliant storytelling to it, and being really, really dark in places, so I like it. Least favourite is maybe Swan Songs. I don't even hate it just because Deuce was a member at the time. The track Bones just takes some getting used to, and it's ultimately not that bad of an album. But you can tell that the band learned from their mistakes later on after Swan Songs, so anyway. That'll about do it. Join me next time where I'll go to Canada again, but French Canada, Franada as I like to call it, to cover another band that I love, in Simple Plan. Oh, it's gonna be good! And as always, I end these off weirdly. Thank you for listening, you're awesome! Bye bye!